And then at the actual show, I have people like yourself chanting "Jazz is going to kill you," and just like sending me into like a panic attack before the match. So yeah, it was different.
Well, I apologize for any panic attacks I may have given you. That wasn't the goal, unless
I don't know. I feel like it was. I felt like you were playing mind games from
No, no, no. Only if your name is Rob Love do I go for a panic attack.
the
What is up, heels and baby faces? We are live here. This is the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm that guy, Tommy. He is Big Mike over there.
What's up, guys?
And we are thrilled. We are ecstatic. We are beyond elated to have with us the main character of everyone's life, Miss Reality herself, Madi Wrenkowski. Hello, Madi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm actually pretty impressed with the little title sequence. I was not expecting that from y'all to have something so organized and professional, I would say.
I know you
That's fair.
don't think we have much,
That's
but we
fair.
did upgrade from Skype, like I told you, so we are on the way.
Yeah, we had to upgrade from Skype. That was rough for a while there. Well, Maddie, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I'm here, so I've been better, but I'm good.
That's fair. So let's just jump right into it. Again, like we said, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So tell us about your start with pro wrestling. Did you watch it as a kid? Were you into it then, or did you go into it later in life? Where'd you start there?
Yeah, so I definitely I stumbled upon it from my brother. He was flipping through the channels, saw China. That immediately stopped him in his tracks. After that, I would watch it with him, and then I kind of entered an age where I was too cool for pro wrestling. So I kind of just dipped out. Obviously, Total Divas brought like everyone back in, but I just like reality television. So it brought me into like the reality part of it. But as far as coming back into wrestling, I would say when NXT did that Texas tour, I went with my brother and I saw Enzo Amore and Big Cass. And just when they came out, again, I wasn't into wrestling. I didn't know who was who. But the fact that these guys came out and literally the whole building was like chanting what they were chanting, saying what they were saying, it just it brought me back in. I was like, they have this power over these people, and I need that power. And so I think that really just drew me back in. I was like, I need to do this.
Given crowd reactions to you, I'd say you'd have that power. I'd say
I
you
need
got
it more. I need more of it, but I have a taste, and that's what's made me such a dictator. But I need more.
Also, being too
Fair
cool
enough.
for wrestling, what's that like? We don't really know that.
I didn't.
So, and
Yeah.
what was that time like?
Time out. Being too cool. I mean, it was, I
Well,
don't think you would know.
no, we don't.
No, we
Yeah,
wouldn't. We'd have no clue whatsoever.
yeah. You almost got me. I almost answered for real, and then I was like, wait.
Fair enough. So you started with hybrid, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What was that like? The initial training and everything, or how did you have that conversation even start with you going there?
Yeah. So my initial training started with hybrid, but my first interaction with wrestling, I actually signed up for a Booker T fantasy camp. And so I did a fantasy camp at Booker's. It's like a 3 hour day or so. Got a taste of wrestling, but most importantly, that's where I met Gino Medina. There, he is actually the one who introduced me to Chris Marvel, the owner of the Hybrid School of Wrestling. Um, I initially, obviously, like every probably person in this group and everyone watching, Googled how to become a professional wrestler, and we all looked at the wiki how. And the first step was to find a school. So I did a little bit of searching. I sent some messages out, and obviously I found the fantasy camp, but like Houston, disgusting. And at the time, I was already living in San Marcos. So just moving down 35 seemed like the best choice. Again, Gino introduced me to Chris Marvel. I went, had a meeting with him, and started the next day, basically.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What was the training like? Was it what you expected, more or less, or?
So with hybrid, the first month or so is cardio. And I don't think most people are expecting that, but obviously there is some sense of athleticism to professional wrestling. So they want to make sure you have at least a basis. I wasn't expecting that, but obviously being who I am, I was better than everyone at that point. So I breezed through it. I think I actually got out of the cardio phase less than a month. And then you start doing your in-ring training, which is a lot of it at the beginning is body control. So a lot of rolls, things like that, running the ropes, getting the basics down, which is weird because you're literally doing everything. Your body is like, let's not do that. Like throwing yourself on the ground. Like my body usually wants to catch itself, but you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I did. That's the thing. I remember, what was I reading that someone said like about I think it was Tyson Fury. He said I'd much rather do boxing because just the few minutes of pro wrestling that I did was way worse than anything I've done in boxing so far.
I bet. Yeah.
And previous to that, had you done athletics through school and stuff, or were you like in sports a lot up before that?
Yeah, so I think like most people, I dabbled in a lot of different sports, but from a young age, almost like 8, running was very consistent. So I know most people after watching me wrestle or seeing me wrestle are like, "Oh, are you a dancer? Are you a cheerleader?" And I wasn't. I'm just long and lengthy because I ran and genetics. Yeah.
Good genes. So your first match was with Mission Pro, right? Or did you have one prior to that?
So that was my first match on the independent scene.
Okay.
I had like some student matches,
Mhm.
but that was the first professional wrestling paid gig on the independent scene.
That's cool. So, was there like a difference between the first student matches and the first paid match, or were they about the same, or what do you remember about those?
Okay, first off, they were not the same. The main difference being that I wrestled Jazz my first match, and
Yeah,
in a student match, it was Brandon Weiss. Apples and oranges.
very big apples to yeah. Good.
Yeah, watermelon to a pea. Um, but also at the student shows, it was like family and friends. So like
Yeah.
you could go out there and literally just like tie your shoe, and they'd be like, "Yeah, go Maddie." And then at the actual show, I have people like yourself chanting, "Jazz is going to kill you," and just like sending me into like a panic attack before the match. So yeah, it was different.
Well, I apologize for any panic attacks I may have given you. That wasn't the goal, unless
I don't know. I feel like it was. I felt like you were playing mind games from
No,
the
no, no. Only if your name is Rob Love do I go for a panic attack.
get-go.
I mean, well, Rob Love, and there's about 5 other people on the list, but you're not on it.
You have a
So,
long list, Tommy. Let's not get into that. Also, I assume at the family show, at the student shows, even though you were tying your shoe, you tied a perfect loop and knot, and that's probably also why they were cheering you, because I assume you did that perfectly too.
Yeah, of
So,
course. The rabbit went right into the loop.
yes, there you go.
and there you go. So to have Jazz for a first opponent who is just legendary in pro wrestling altogether, how did that feel? Just to know that was how you started. That's a story some people just wish they had to have a match with her at all, but that was your first match. How did that feel?
I mean, it feels great to be able to say that in the moment, knowing that this woman who you were actually pretty terrified of, watching her in the ring, was going to be who was standing across from you the first time in front of people. It's terrifying. And again, when I was taught how to wrestle, I was taught you watch people's matches, you do match studies. And in every single match that she's had, especially on the independent scene, the chant "Jazz is gonna kill you" was always at the start. And so I was prepared for it. But once you're actually there and you hear everyone saying that, it's a whole different ballgame when it's geared at you. Uh, and then also it was a student versus teacher match. So having had trained with her, she always said like, "Oh, I've taught you some of what I know, not all of what I know." So she was playing mental games prior as well. So I was just in a great mental headspace.
Going in and coming out of it.
um,
So.
yeah, and then I just don't think that she understands like who she is. She is Jazz, and so from the jump, Marvel had this 2-day seminar. It was Jazz, Rodney, and Funaki, and that's when I first met her in person. And I told her, I was like, "You are so scary," and she was like, "No, I'm not. I'm the nicest person ever." I said, "You might think you are, but your aura is not. You're so scary." And to this day, I tell her that.
I mean, well, she was taking chair shots from the dudes in ECW and got up to talk about it. So yeah, she's scary. Yeah.
She's scary. She's scary. She's tough. She's tougher than anyone I've met.
Yeah.
And also, in all fairness, though, I don't know how many students would have the guts to tell her that.
That's
to her
also
face
true.
and just, so there's something there. You're like,
I'm
look,
telling you, it's why I am Miss Reality. I just
Yeah.
tell it like it
Just
is.
tell it like it is, yeah.
And I was scared.
So that's a good transition. Like when you were first starting, of course, you probably have ideas for gimmicks and things that you want to do. What brought you to the Miss Reality? That by the way, you played to perfection. Your character is so well done. What brought you? What gave you that inspiration, and what led you to creating that persona?
Yeah, so the Miss Reality, one I did love and I semi do still love reality shows. I've definitely knocked it down a peg. Um, but I've always been a firm believer in saying what you believe, saying the truth, no matter what. And again, Enzo Amore was the realest guy in the room, and he's the one who brought me back into it. So I think that is another thing. Also, my first seminar ever at the Hybrid School of Wrestling was from Eddie Kingston, and he is the realest person you will ever meet. And so it was kind of like a play on all of that, people that I had thoroughly enjoyed watching and kind of saw in myself, obviously not to that extreme because Eddie Kingston can talk the talk and walk the walk. I talk a lot of the talk. My walking needs a little bit of work, but I'll definitely continue to talk.
But what a first seminar for Eddie Kingston, one of the best talkers in pro wrestling. So if anyone's a good inspiration, it's definitely him.
Yeah, definitely. And it was terrifying because it was it was around like the first maybe week I had gotten in the ring. And so he was doing basic stuff with us and he's like, "Yeah, do a roll over the top rope, simple stuff." And I was like, "For who?" I still can't do that to this day. So
No, you dealt with a lot of people who were scary at first, who you dealt with initially.
That's what I was just
yeah,
gonna
they're like,
say.
"It's easy, piece of cake. Go ahead." I'm like, "Sir, no."
So also with the Miss Reality, you also have the amazing side character gimmick that is just taking the wrestling fandom by storm because it seems like no matter what show, if you're on the show, there's at least 2 or 3 "I'm a side character" T-shirts. Where did that idea come from? Especially with the stamp, which by the way is amazing. I just want to know where the idea came from.
Yeah. So I thought, I was evolving from the reality show thing, the fourth Kardashian. It wasn't really about, it felt like I was pulling away from kind of being more real. And then I've noticed as like I started getting further into wrestling, people like seemed to like me for some reason, and I would just say just couldn't stop looking at me. So I just had a realization that I was the main character of everyone's sorry little lives, and I am what brings them happiness. So with that, if I am the main character, that inadvertently makes everybody else a side character. Um, and then you have TikTok culture where people are going around interviewing people on the street. and making them look stupid. And that is also one of my very fond favorite activities. So I was like, how can I do that and be rude to people and they think it's a joke? And so initially, like every good wrestler, people have monikers. And I had the unfortunate task of being with Kylan like every other month due to NWA tapings and just mission and being on the same shows. And every single time, can we cuss on the show?
Sure.
Okay, so every single time they would announce her as the motherfucking king. And I was like, what does that even mean? And so I was like, I'm gonna ask her, and I'm gonna ask her like on a hot mic, on a live mic, well, my live mic, and just get her reaction because I genuinely don't get it. And so that was the idea of it, and that's just kind of how it came to be. I have questions and they needed answers.
That was one of the greatest
Yeah.
segments, vignette, whatever it was. That was, and then all of them, like from there since then and around those, have been hilarious. Like they made Monday like such a great start to the week. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
we knew we were starting to get those, and they've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
hilarious.
And that's the thing is every single side character is one take. There's no planning. I don't tell them anything. It's just one and done. I don't have the attention span to plan stuff out. I don't have the attention span to, I don't know, help the other person in any way. So if they start drowning, like that's on them. Become a better speaker. I don't know.
I will say it's clear that you don't warn them ahead of time because I don't even know which one of is my favorite anymore. I really don't because they're all so good. But the fact that you stumped Aaron Mercer, who I know is never at a loss for words, when he didn't even know how to respond to your question, I was like, oh, she's good. She's good because he always has something to say.
And see that one was real because I remember he again was trained at Hybrid. And so when we were coming up, I remember I was doing the whole paying my dues thing, setting up rings, tearing them down, and he was out wrestling, and he would always be like, "I'm never gonna do dumb, what are they called? The killer matches, death match."
Oh,
He's like, "Oh, I'm a real wrestler. I don't need that to get over." And then this man disappears and comes back, and that's all he does. Like, I'm sorry, hypocrite. So that was real. I really was questioning that.
that was more insight than I was expecting, and I am so thrilled that we got it. That made most of this interview for me immediately.
And that reenactment was pretty true to how it was. I'm a real wrestler. I don't need death matches. It was pretty spot on. I got confused for a second. I was like, wait, is that Mercer talking? But it was me.
I can't lie that, sorry, Mercer, if you watch this later, but that does sound like something you would say and how you would say it.
It was 100% with his like 30-inch basketball shorts, and they are so unnecessarily long.
Again, Mercer, sorry, she's kind of on point with that one.
Sorry, probably grew up watching the Fab Five. He's a '90s kid, I guess.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I want to switch gears to Mission Pro for a moment here. You've created probably one of the best tag teams going right now with Bougie Reality, you and Roche Chanel. It's definitely my wife's favorite team, and you were two of her favorite people. Well, how did that team come about? What brought you guys together?
Yeah. So actually, it was kind of Roche and Lou Gotti from DFW.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in the Tonga twins. They were going to do a tag team show, and Lou asked Roche who she wanted to have as a partner, and she chose me. And I believe Nastigo, as much as he stinks, has something to do with the name Bougie Reality. I don't know if he like suggested it, but it was Roche initially who asked me to partner with her, and then from there we just continued it on. And I'm pretty sure we beat the Tonga twins. Don't like go and fact check myself, but like
We won't
I'm
go to
pretty
cage
sure we
match.
did. Just take my word for it.
Yeah. You say you won, then you won.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
I'm sure there's no reason to give Nastigo credit for anything. I'm sure it wasn't it.
Yeah.
No. And I just and even if I could give him credit, I'm not gonna because I don't like him. And but this tag title run that you two have been on has been just fantastic. Just successful defense after successful defense. Do you consider yourselves to be one of the best tag teams, not just in Texas, but in wrestling right now?
Ooh, ooh. I want to start with saying like, of course, but also like I would really think, or I think that in order to really cement that,
Mhm.
we need to go against like actual tag teams, because the tag teams that get thrown at us are just like two random people put together. So I think we just need to start getting some some wins with some more weight behind them.
Mm.
Fair enough.
Yeah, some of those teams have barely lasted one match, and that one match was a title match.
Exactly. I mean, we have like the goons of the Scenic City, but like
Mhm.
the Scenic City is Chattanooga. Okay, sure. They were at a loss before they even started.
I
Ooh.
I do love how you are legitimately probably one of the most cheered people in any wrestling promotion. It doesn't matter where you are usually cheered out of the building. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I mean, yeah.
no further questions.
Yes.
we got that one in.
This counts for me, so I was on the show.
There you go. So with Mission Pro, and then of course during the AEW Dark period, you appeared quite a few times. So like, how does it feel to be on this rise? Because you've been nothing short of meteoric at this point between them, RCW, and even NWA recently. How does it feel to just be on this rise? Just it seems like your star is going nowhere but up at this point.
Oh, I mean, if you consider north up, or do we just like consider up up? Um, but yeah, it's going. It's nice. I'm a very competitive person. So obviously, when you start in pro wrestling, you start at the very bottom with your just friends and family following you, and going to your shows. So as you mentioned earlier, going and arriving to shows and having side characters in the crowd and everything else, it feels like I'm getting the recognition that I deserve. Because like I've always been good. I just needed a bigger platform for people to see that, and now they truly are. So up is like the only way at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what was that like when those merch lines started getting longer and longer, and then they're like trying to kick people out of the Salvation Army place because they're still waiting in line for you? What was that like when not only are the shirts there, but there's just tons of people buying 8x10s and making posters of you. I promised Mike I'd shout him out.
Haha,
So
Mike's great. It's exhausting. I mean, I just wrestled, and now you're not only wanting me to count your dirty money, but now I have to sign your name, and you're like, oh, let me spell Tom out for you, Tom. I'm like, well, I hope so, because how else do you spell it? So it's exhausting, but I mean, I feel like it's the least they could do for, making me work. They could pay me and buy my merch.
that's fair enough.
That
Yeah.
is fair. Oh wow, that response was amazing. So between the Mission Pro Tag Titles, you've also won the RCW Women's Championship, still current champion, and you the NWA World Women's Tag Champion with Misakata as part of M95. Like, how does it feel to just know that you've just been practically dripping in gold this past year?
I mean, again, I think it's just like the fact that I wasn't given these opportunities prior. And like now that I am getting them, people are seeing like how good I am because I just win that much. And actually, right now, I currently have 5 championships. So everyone can just simmer down about Emmy and her little whatever promotions that no one's heard of. Um, I also have 5. I just don't brag about it because I'm that good. I don't need the titles to represent me. I represent my titles.
This is
Yeah.
true. This is true.
Yes, it is.
Also in RCW, not only are you collecting women's gold, you seem to be collecting henchwomen, the Trollas. You just added a new one this past weekend who um, made sure you were successful because you always are. Just wanted to be there to see it live, apparently, and in person. So what's with the little groups you've been adding? Also, are you paying them? Are they getting?
I mean, it's a relationship in the works. I don't control the members that they have. That's between them. But as long as their business doesn't get in the way of my business, we're set. We're solid. And as far as like paying them, like my people are in contact with their people or something like that.
That's fair.
But that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah. I thought it'd just be hot Cheetos, but okay.
Or Big Red. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Tomato at that point.
Yeah.
So going forward, like you're going through this meteoric rise. Like I said, sky's the limit, and not even that really, because you can go as far as you want. Do you have any dream opponents like that you could just, if you could make it happen tomorrow, that you could book, or is it just whoever wants to smoke can get the smoke?
I think in a perfect world, I think it would be really cool, very full circle to be able to go against Jazz again. Being from how I started first match to kind of where I am now, I think that would be fun, especially since I know that she's got some bad knees. Like, it's on. It's on. I'm going for both of them.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for that part. Okay, just for the record, because Jazz does scare me too. I had nothing to do with that comment. I'm just saying that.
He did. He told me to say
I
that.
did not.
It's actually
Jazz,
written out in the comments.
No,
like, it's right
no,
there. He
he's
told
lying,
me to say
Jazz.
that.
Look,
I would never say that to you, Miss Jazz.
I would never suggest that, and I say that because Jazz also knows where I work, and so.
Well, you better keep your eyes out then.
I will. I kind of have to anyway.
Look, the good thing with having my name and being Tommy's friend is hardly anyone knows me because they know Tommy first. So I'll be risky. If it comes full circle, should we start a Maddie's gonna stamp you chant when you face Jazz?
That's good. Yeah. It can like combat it like the "Let's Go Cena sucks" thing.
Right,
we can do both.
We'll do dueling chants.
We'll have to work on like the
cadence. Yeah, we don't have a lot of rhythm or anything. So
yeah, we'll figure it out. Y'all will figure it out.
It'll be like a Chuck Taylor chant, but it's okay.
We'd have to practice with the crowd before the show starts, just like to get them going. That sounds like something we'd actually do, though.
It feels like it.
Yeah, we're nerds.
We don't have lives, so yeah.
Yeah. Look at all this. So, lastly, Maddie, with all this that you've accomplished so far, you've got so much more that you can accomplish. What is your ultimate goal? Where do you see yourself going for from here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not obviously, because you're asking that question. But I personally would love to step foot or get an opportunity with WWE or NXT, just being that is the company that I believe tells the best stories, the stories that got most of us to fall in love with wrestling. So I think it would be cool to get the opportunity to be a part of that system that made me and my brother and most of my friends and sometimes y'all into wrestling.
We got roasted so bad during this, but that's okay. I'm used to it.
Yeah, it's telling the truth. I mean, what are we gonna do?
That's true.
Nothing.
You're right. Nothing.
Like we've said, and like Tommy said it's been a amazing rise. Like having only seen you the last year and a half, it's been dominant and it's been entertaining. I'm just gonna keep saying nice things about you, and hopefully you'll be nice to me one day. So we'll see how it goes. No, okay.
Probably not, but like maybe.
All right.
Well, having watched you just a little bit longer than Mike, and only by not by much, because I remember seeing you in some shows like just before the pandemic hit, and then of course seeing you sparingly, and then on AEW Dark and stuff after that. Your rise has been one of the most incredible to witness for me as a fan, and well earned and well deserved, because you're one of the people who I have seen put in so much work and work so hard to get where you are. And honestly, congratulations on all the success finally paying off, because you've absolutely earned it with everything you've been doing.
Thanks. I like how you said though that you only started watching me a little bit before, and you said like a year and a half, and like you said pre-pandemic, and my boy, that was 3 years ago.
2019 feels like that was like Mike.
What?
Doesn't that hurt?
2019 feels like it was like 6 years ago, like legit. Like it
It
does.
feels like it was yesterday to me. I'm like, yeah, I just started wrestling. And then, like, I think this past October 18th marks like 4 years since that first mission show.
Yeah,
That hurts. That makes my back hurt.
I found one picture we took together. I think might have been Galactic Pro.
Possibly.
And I remember thinking and it's still you, but like the
Well,
Miss Reality hadn't set in yet. The Miss Reality, yeah. But the picture I took at the last RCW show, I was like, there it is. So yeah, it's definitely been an amazing rise, and just congratulations on all of it. Your work has been amazing towards it, and just congratulations on all that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, Hills Babyface, thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you so much to Maddie for being here and taking some time with us. And guys, just remember, we're all side characters. We're all side characters.
Facts.
For Big Mike, I'm Tommy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. See you later.
Adios.